Hi, my name is Brinley and I'm a high schooler in the NVIDIA course at ID Tech. I have been working towards finishing this project and learning Python this past week and a half. I made a car game called Ghost Gear. I thought of this name because it's a gesture-controlled car which uses your movement to control a car on a screen. I imported a few different libraries including CV2, MediaPipe, and Pygame. CV2 is used to access and work with the web cameras to process images. MediaPipe helps detect your body parts like shoulders and hands using AI. Pygame is used to generate the game window like the visuals, controls, or sound. The Jetson Orin Nano runs Ubuntu with a desktop GUI. I wanted to run Pygame, see the webcam preview, but with no physical monitor, which is why I use Real VNC. It lets you see the Orin desktop from the main computer and is basically a virtual monitor. I imported 3 libraries, but since we already talked about that, we'll move on. Then around line 6, we set up pose detection using MediaPipe's built-in pose function, which will later track our wrists and shoulders. For the computer to give an input, I made sure the computer is 60% sure of what it sees on line 7. By line 13, we're initializing the Pygame window and defining the size of the car image, which, as you can see, in line 19, gets loaded and scaled based on that size. Then right at line 16, we finalize the display size at 800 by 600 and set the game title to Ghost Gear on line 24. A few lines later, we load the background road image and scale it to fit the screen. Now jumping to line 32, we're placing the car in the middle bottom of the screen and setting its speed. We also activate the webcam using cv2.videoCapture(0), so it starts grabbing live footage. The cool part is the detect movement function, starting on line 41. That's where we convert the webcam frame to RGB and let MediaPipe analyze the pose. From there, we grab the positions of both wrists and shoulders. And if the wrists are higher than the shoulders, we know the user is raising their hands. So we set the movement to forward. If the wrists are below, that means backward. And depending on where the hands are, left or right of the shoulders, we turn the car. Then starting at line 79 is our main game loop. It runs constantly. It reads webcam frames, flips them to feel like a mirror, checks for gestures, and updates the car movements accordingly. Also, it handles Pygame events, like quitting the game, and makes sure the car stays inside the screen boundaries. Near the end of the loop, we draw everything. First, the scrolling background to simulate movement, then the car image, and finally a small preview of the webcam feed in the top right corner. We also display the current movement status with some text so the user can see what the computer is thinking. Finally, the loop refreshes 30 times a second using clock.tick (30) to keep it smooth. Overall, the code ties computer vision and game logic together in a really fun and interactive way, all controlled with just body movements, no keyboard needed. To run the project, you have to make sure that the webcam is plugged in and the images for the background and car are in the same folder as the Python code. First, check what's using the VNC port with the sudo lsoft-i:5900 to see if another port is using the one you need for the real VNC. Then you'll see a list with the PID and you take this number to end the program. Then you restart the VNC session manually. When this command is running, you open up the real VNC viewer and connect to the IP address of the Orin +:5900. Then you open the terminal from this virtual monitor and make sure you're in the car game directory and type Python 3, then the name of the file where the Python is stored.